Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into the fascinating world of one of the most advanced and honestly enigmatic aircraft ever built, the B-2 Spirit.
That's right, the stealth bomber.
Yeah, imagine an aircraft designed to just slip through enemy defenses like a ghost in the sky, capable of delivering these devastating strikes anywhere in the world. That's really what we're here to unpack.
We're taking a deep dive into the B-2. We'll look at its intriguing history, its really unique design, and then we'll explore a hypothetical scenario. You know, what if these bombers took off from the U.S., flew all the way to Iran, and attacked key nuclear sites?
We'll get into the details of that, the sites that might hit, how it refuels mid-flight, which is just incredible in itself.
Right, and we'll try to keep it incredibly fascinating for you.
Our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut to being well-informed about this incredible piece of engineering, hopefully with some surprising insights that, stick with you. So, okay, let's unpack this machine. The B-2 Spirit, it really emerged from the Cold War, didn't it? That whole high-stakes game of technological one-upmanship.
Absolutely. Back in the late 1970s, the U.S. realized they needed something new, a bomber that could penetrate those sophisticated Soviet air defenses completely undetected.
And deliver a knockout punch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Northrop Grumman took up the challenge. It was called the Advanced Technology Bomber Program, or ATB.
Right, I remember that. Its first prototype was unveiled in '89, but it didn't actually enter service until 1997. That's a long time. What took so long? What were the hurdles?
Well, yeah, its development was definitely a roller coaster, huge ambition, immense technical challenges, and a lot of controversy.
Mostly around the cost, I imagine.
That was a big part of it, especially later. But first, just the challenge of building it, crafting an aircraft with, unprecedented stealth, range, payload.
Yeah. And then the world changed.
Right. By the time it was really ready, the Soviet Union had collapsed.
Yeah.
Suddenly, the whole strategic landscape shifted. People started asking, do we still need this incredibly expensive plane?
Which brings us to that design. What makes the B-2 so stealthy? It just looks alien.
It really does. It's that flying wing shape. Sleek, almost bat-like, no sharp angles, no vertical tail fin, nothing for radar waves to easily bounce off of.
It's not just the shape, though, right?
No, not at all. It uses special radar-absorbing materials, composites, coatings. They soak up or scatter radar signals. The goal is a tiny radar cross-section, making it almost invisible to enemy detection. It's an amazing feat of engineering and honestly still pretty secretive.
And beyond just sneaking in, the payload is jaw-dropping, right? It can carry some serious hardware.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly versatile. It can carry conventional bombs, precision-guided munitions, even nuclear weapons.
And that massive bunker buster.
Yeah, the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, it weighs 30,000 pounds. Designed specifically to take out targets buried deep underground. Real knockout capability.
But as you mentioned, this technological marvel came at a literal cost. Over $2 billion per aircraft.
Yep, most expensive aircraft ever built, by far. The original plan was for, I think, 132 bombers.
Wow.
But after the Cold War ended and budgets got tight, that number was slashed drastically, down to just 21.
So, critics who called it an extravagant relic, do they have a point? Especially now with drones and advanced missiles?
Well, it's a fair debate. The cost is undeniable. But you have to look at its combat record, too. Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It proved its worth.
How so?
Well, take Kosovo in 1999, its combat debut. B-2s flew undetected deep into heavily defended airspace, dropping bombs with surgical precision.
Right, a capability nothing else really had at the time.
Exactly. And that ability to hold any target on Earth at risk from its home base without being seen, that's a unique strategic advantage. Fun fact, they nicknamed it the Ghost for a reason.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's imagine this hypothetical mission. We're calling it Operation Midnight Hammer.
All right.
A squadron of B-2s takes off from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, their home turf.
Okay, setting the scene. And their target.
Iran's nuclear infrastructure. A clandestine strike.
Okay, that's a serious scenario.
Yeah.
And a long flight. We're talking, what, over 11,000 kilometers? About 600-800 miles one way?
Exactly. Which is like right at the edge or maybe even beyond the B-2's unrefueled range.
Right. So to pull off a round trip like that, they absolutely need mid-air refueling. multiple times probably. That turns a potential one-way trip into a survivable strike mission.
So in our scenario, let's say 7 B-2s, each loaded with those GBU-57 bunker busters. They fly eastward, using that stealth to stay hidden.
Makes sense. And you'd probably want some kind of diversion too, right, to confuse anyone watching.
Good point. Maybe some decoy aircraft head west, out toward the Pacific, just to muddy the waters.
Clever. So the real mission pushes east. How long would something like this take?
We're estimating over 44 hours. Non-stop. That would make it one of the longest B-2 combat missions ever conceived. I think there have been real ones close to that length, maybe even longer.
Yeah, there have been some marathon flights, especially early on in Afghanistan. Over 40 hours is definitely pushing it, though.
And the key is, they strike the targets in Iran, then turn around and fly all the way back home, without landing anywhere else.
That's the power projection aspect, true global reach, based right here in the U.S.
44 hours, though, inside that cockpit. That's intense. How do crews even manage that?
It's incredible, isn't it? They train specifically for these ultra-long duration missions. There are procedures for in-flight rest. One pilot can take a break while the other flies. They have specialized nutrition plans. There's even a small toilet on board.
Wow.
It's not just about the machine's endurance. It's about human endurance, too. Maintaining peak performance for almost 2 days straight. It's a huge part of making these global strike missions possible.
Okay, let's dive into the sites destroyed in Iran in this imagined attack. The B-2s are targeting Iran's most critical nuclear facilities, known for uranium enrichment research.
Right, the crown jewels of their program. And these places are heavily fortified, often buried deep underground. Perfect targets for the B-2 and its bunker busters.
So first up,
probably Fordo. That's the one near Qom, dug deep into a mountain. It's considered their most secure nuclear site, really hardened.
So how would the B-2s tackle that?
You'd need multiple hits. The scenario suggests maybe 6 GBU-57 MOPs, those massive ordnance penetrators. Each one is designed to burrow deep into rock and concrete before detonating. The idea is to collapse the facility from within, really ensure its destruction.
Okay, Fordo now. What's next?
Then you have Natanz, that's in central Iran, a much larger complex, partially underground, known for its huge centrifuge halls for uranium enrichment.
Also a critical target.
Absolutely. The B-2s would use their stealth to get past any air defenses, then drop more precision-guided MOPs, aiming to obliterate those centrifuge halls, crippling their enrichment capacity.
And there's one more key site.
Yeah, the Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center. This focuses on uranium conversion, which is an earlier but still vital step in the nuclear fuel cycle.
Less fortified than Fordo, maybe?
Generally considered so, yes. Still a crucial target, though. It would likely be hit with fewer bombs, but with the same precision to wipe out its infrastructure.
So let's tally that up. 14 GBU-57s deployed in total across those 3 sites.
That's the scenario, yeah. With Fordo taking the heaviest hit because it's buried in that mountain.
And each B-2 carries 2 of these massive bombs.
Correct. So 7 bombers, 14 bombs. Allows a single aircraft to potentially hit multiple endpoints, or for multiple aircraft to concentrate on one really tough target like Fordo. The goal is clear. Dismantle Iran's nuclear ambitions in one coordinated, overwhelming strike.
Now, this entire mission, especially flying for 44 hours, it all hinges on mid-air refueling. You called it a high-stakes ballet in the sky. How does that actually work, especially for a stealth aircraft?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch, even in videos. The B-2 uses what's called a boom and receptacle system.
Okay.
So you have a tanker aircraft, usually a KC-135 Stratotanker, or maybe a newer KC-46. It extends this long, rigid tube called a boom.
Right.
The boom operator on the tanker actively flies the end of the boom into a special receptacle, like a little door, on the top of the B-2 just behind the cockpit.
And then they just pump the gas.
Pretty much.
Right.
Once it locks in, fuel flows at thousands of pounds per minute. It tops off the bomber fairly quickly, relatively speaking, allowing it to continue its mission.
And for a mission like this hypothetical one to Iran, they'd need to do this multiple times.
Oh, absolutely. You'd have tankers positioned strategically along the route. They'd likely refuel over the Atlantic, maybe again over the Mediterranean, and then again on the way back. It requires incredible coordination.
It sounds incredibly precise
Oh, yeah?
and maybe vulnerable. Does the B-2 lose its stealth during refueling?
That's a great point. It is a tricky maneuver. And yes, the B-2's stealth profile does increase briefly when it's close to the tanker and has that receptacle open. It's momentarily more detectable.
So less ghost in the sky for a few minutes.
Exactly. More like briefly visible, very expensive target. But the U.S. Air Force has practiced this for decades. They have it down to a science, minimizing the time and optimizing the locations for refueling to reduce risk.
And that capability is key.
It's fundamental. It's what allows the B-2 to operate globally, projecting power from the U.S. without needing forward bases overseas. That's a massive strategic advantage in modern warfare.
So, bringing it all together, what does this mean for us? Why is the B-2 Spirit, this ghost plane from the Cold War, still so fascinating and arguably relevant?
Well, I think what's so fascinating is that the B-2 is more than just a machine. It's kind of a symbol, right, of incredible ambition, technological reach, maybe even excess.
Right, the $2 billion price tag always comes up. That debate, is stealth worth that much, especially now with cheaper drones and missiles?
So the central question, really, is that kind of investment logical when you have these other rapidly evolving technologies? Drones are getting stealthier, missiles are getting faster.
But the B-2 still does something unique.
It does. It's a combination of extreme stealth, that massive payload, and its sheer range, plus the fact that it has human pilots on board who can adapt to changing situations. That package is still unparalleled.
So it can get places and do things that maybe a drone or a missile can't, at least not yet.
Precisely. Especially against the most heavily defended targets. It can penetrate those sophisticated air defense networks, what they call anti-accessory denial or A2AD environments, in a way that few, if any, other platforms can. It kind of blends its Cold War origins perfectly with 21st century mission needs.
So picture this.
Yeah.
A bomber so stealthy they call it the Ghost.
Right.
Carrying bombs heavier than some small planes, refueling midair like a pit stop in the clouds, hitting targets halfway across the globe, and the enemy potentially never even knows it was there until the bombs hit.
That's the B-2 Spirit. That's its unique value proposition even today. It's really about achieving surprise and survivability against the toughest defenses.
So, in short, the B-2's history is this incredible story of innovation, maybe some Cold War excess, sure, but also adaptation. And this imagined mission to Iran just highlights its enduring potential. Stealth, power, and that global reach, all fueled by some serious ingenuity, both on the ground and way up there in the air. What an incredible journey into the world of the B-2 Spirit. It really is a marvel of, well, war and engineering that continues to shape strategic thinking.
It absolutely is. And reflecting on all this, it raises a really important question for your listeners to ponder.
Okay.
In this rapidly changing world with advanced missiles, super sophisticated drones, all sorts of new tech emerging, what does the continued strategic value and that, exorbitant cost of an aircraft like the B-2 tell us about the future of global power projection?
How might its unique abilities be challenged or maybe even complemented by new technologies in the decades ahead?
Exactly. Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the B-2. We hope you feel more informed, maybe a little awed, by the sheer ingenuity behind this ghost in the sky.